The Kennedy Legacy Trail begins to take shape and vendor carts are approved for a Main Street business on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Thursday, May 3rd, 2012. I'm Sarah Colvin. The Kennedy Legacy Trail is designed to take visitors to downtown Hyannis on a tour of historic sites as they relate to the famous Kennedy family. Signage for the trails is set to be in place by Memorial Day weekend. Landscape architect Kate Kennan, working with the town's Growth Management Department, went before the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission this week to discuss plans to place photographs on the facade of the Sturgis Charter School facing Pearl Street.
The town of Barnstable is looking, as we came last time before you a couple weeks ago, to create the Kennedy Trail that goes through downtown Hyannis, stopping at all the major Kennedy legacy sites. And along the trail, we're headed down Pearl Street, and we know Pearl Street sort of turns its back on on the rest of the kind of neighborhood, and we're trying to get that energy to get people to want to walk down Pearl Street to the next series of sites. So as we turn the sort of corner, one of the facades that we noticed that really could use some attention or helping to carry the visitor appeal down the street, both for the Kennedy Trail but also for the arts and the new arts district and all of the galleries and things that are going down there, was to try to create a little bit more of a public feeling on the Sturgis facade as you move down Pearl Street. So that's what the two improvements are that we have in front of you today. So the first is two fiberglass panels, and actually it's really four because they can only make them a maximum of 40 inches high. So each panel is comprised of two long 120-inch by 40-inch high that are mounted together, but they'll appear as one. Photographs, and the photographs are embedded in a graffiti-resistant 10-year guarantee fiberglass that is up to the National Park Service standard. It's basically a quarter-inch fiberglass that has hidden mounts that mount to the brick masonry behind. And so we're proposing those between the two series of windows, and you can see the actual two photographs that we're proposing, which is the Kennedy family photographs, one of them sailing and the other of the family. And across the street, we're actually going to have one of the interpretive trail markers, so it'll tell you about the photographs too, which will be kind of exciting. And then the other idea was to add the sailboat banners along the facade. So we're proposing 5 to be added along the cornice. Now these are the same exact sailboat banners that are on Bismore Park on the visitor center there, and they're the same ones that are on the light poles that are on Main Street. Our intent was for them to stay there and to really become a permanent sort of fixture on the street. But like I said, they are quite easy to remove if there is a challenge.
Well, if it's going to be there permanently, I have a problem with the edging of it. The windows themselves were very carefully chosen for size and for placement. Mm-hmm. And part of that reason was that we wanted what was originally, I believe, a glass wall to have some substantial appearance to it, which was one of the reasons why we approved the masonry appearance as well. It added some institutional substantiality to the building that was at the time a retail sales building, and the idea was to make it look like a school building.
The one thing, George, I would be nervous at, I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
The one thing I would just be nervous about adding a frame is, we can, by the way, first of all, they're available to have frames on them if we wanted.
I just said there wasn't.
What's that? No, I'm not planning on doing it, but they are available if we wanted to get one. If we wanted to get one, we could add a frame. I wasn't planning on it. I was just going to keep it a plain fiberglass panel. because I didn't want to start to introduce a new architecture, I really was just hoping it would look like a photograph, so that it didn't have an architectural sort of heaviness to it,
Yeah.
that it really just felt like a photograph, because I completely agree with you. The architecture of the building is very well thought out, and it's very strong, and I didn't want this to necessarily read as a piece of the architecture, but more as a photograph, which is sort of what it was. So that's why when I went out there, we brought up full-size mock-ups out there just to check the size of it, to see that they felt right.
And this is a close representation of how big that is.
Exactly. And it felt like it fit well with the overall repetition of the facade without like being too much. We looked at several different photographs, but had kind of come to the census that representing the whole family rather than just JFK was what we were trying to do. So that's why we had chosen that. No, I understand. But the other thing too is that we also have to go with sort of the photographs that we have available to us in high resolution. And so I actually don't have a photograph of the three brothers available in high resolution from the JFK library. We had about 5 or 6 we were choosing from.
And Kate, these are consistent with some of the Kennedy Legacy Trail content.
Exactly.
Too.
Exactly. Yep.
So.
Exactly. Yep. And so we sort of have the audio and that sort of thing written about the family. So across the street, you'll be able to look over and read and understand a lot about the family.
The commission wanted a further visual representation of those signs. Members will head to Pearl Street on Saturday morning to view the location, at which time they may make a decision. Meanwhile, the Beech Tree Alley was also before the HHDC this week, looking for approval for vendor carts in the alley.
The colors of the carts would be the same as the buildings, so we're looking for several carts. We'd have yellow and green, which is the front building, blue and white, which is the middle building, and red and white, which is the rear building.
Okay.
And
Now,
there's what I've shown you in photograph is 2 carts. One is smaller, the one that's got the little shed roof. The smaller picture has a shed roof. The larger picture has sort of a gable roof.
Yeah.
Like this.
Questions arose about the colors and design of the carts.
part of the problem with this particular cart is the industrial look. If the support posts are available in color, much preferred. Same thing with the wheels. If they're available in color, that's much preferred. This wagon looks like a street vendor, kind of like what they have in the mall. The idea is historic Main Street, and this certainly looks a little more historic than this one does. This is historic, all right, but it's 1995 instead of 1895, where this one could be any time from the 1700s on. Given that they are the same size, the portability, if the vendors are buying them individually, then I imagine they should have some sense of, say in how they look, how they collapse or whatever. But if they're not, then what difference does it make? They've got to be stored on site anyway, and this is to be preferred. So, the question is this appropriate? I think we need more information on this one as to whether it's appropriate or not.
Ultimately, the group approved 2 designs of the vendor carts. The Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission will meet again on May 16th. You can view the entire meeting online at town.barnstable.ma.us. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.